Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I know this is a pretty late stream, especially for a Sunday. For those of you that celebrate Easter, happy Easter. I don't celebrate Easter. I haven't celebrated Easter in a very long time for various reasons. But, regardless, what I'm saying, if you do celebrate a holiday, I wish you got a good one. Regardless, it's a Sunday, so it's the end of the week. I know a lot of people are preparing for another work week. Fortunately, for me, I have tomorrow off. And I'm using that day off to prep for my surgery, which is on Tuesday. I'm going to get groceries and run errands and pay bills and all that stuff to make sure I'm secure, because I'm probably going to be heavily medicated, and the medication that they give me is probably going to make me really lethargic and lazy. But anyway, hope you guys had a good day, great weekend. I would have done this sooner, but I kind of slept in and then I had to catch up with the rest of the day. But anyway, the title of this video is called the New Punk / New Rebellion in the West, right? And the reason I say that is because youth culture in particular in the West, with the advent of, jazz, the blues, rock and roll and all that stuff, was about youthful rebellion against, I guess you could say, the status quo, of the time, right? And it's ironic that after those generations, right, the current generation, the new rebellion, honestly, is, in my personal opinion, right, the new rebellion, true rebellion, is being more on the conservative side. And I don't mean a Republican, because those are two different things, in my opinion. Being a conservative that sticks to their guns, that stands up for what they believe in, especially, honestly, you don't have to be religious, but especially for me, like being a practicing Muslim, I think that's very rebellious in the West. It goes completely against a lot of what is being propagated as being the accepted norms and morals of this culture. And submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is paramount to that. And especially you look at this culture, right? There's all these politicians. You'll see them in churches when they're going for election and stuff. They won't admit that they're atheists. But to me, a lot of them are super disingenuous, man. Super disingenuously, like on their lifestyles and the things they stand for. They completely run contrary to their religious beliefs. And if you believe truly that your religious beliefs are paramount, you believe there is a God, you believe he made rules for mankind, and the laws you go for and the rulings you go for and the things you propagate in policy go contrary to that, it's like, why don't you just disbelieve? Why don't you just commit to atheism? It comes across as so simple, you know what I mean, in that aspect. And I think a lot of it has to do with people are culturally spiritual. There's cultural Muslims. Oh, I don't fast for Ramadan, and I might celebrate Eid, but I only celebrate Eid when I'm around family, and this, that, and the third. I don't pray Salah and this, that, and the third. I don't even go to the masjid whatsoever. But when a hate crime happens to them, then all of a sudden they're Muslim, right? It's funny how that works. Even ex-Muslims do that. And there's a lot of, same thing with the people that are Jewish, right? They haven't gone to the synagogue in forever. They don't celebrate Passover, any of that stuff. Maybe they say Hanukkah when they're around family and things of that nature. But when a hate crime happens to them, it's like, all of a sudden, like, I'm Jewish. So I think especially like the liberal policies that and the people like the media and things like that, they want it to get to a point where religion is just considered a cultural thing and it has nothing to do with actual convictions and morality, because a lot of the convictions and morality that religion is supposed to stand for run contrary to and to a certain degree, especially like Republican style conservatism, it runs contrary to that, because my issue with Republican style conservatism is I think it's all an act. For a lot of them, they're big hypocrites. They'll say they stand for Christian morality and they'll do this, that, and the third. They'll stand for hyper-capitalism, exploitation, A lot of them have like a lot of scandals behind their belt, just as much as the scandals on the liberal side. So, and truly, they're really not conservative, or they're really not religious, Christians as they like to prop themselves at. I think honestly, Mike Pence was like the first one that I actually saw. I was like, oh, man, maybe this guy actually, practices what he preaches in that aspect. But a lot of these people, they don't. So, I really do think that that's why actually a lot of youth are actually reverting. Like a lot of people that are born in the West are reverting to Islam, is because they kind of see it like that, because they're disillusioned with the emptiness they see in their current society, the hyper materialism, the hypersexuality, the hyper celebrity worship, and they feel alienated by that. And it's like, if you see through that as being problematic, and how it's a lot of the woes of society and the problems of society stem from that, then you kind of like gravitate towards Islam. That's at least like one of the aspects of why I reverted, to be honest. It's like the liberal agenda puts so much emphasis on hyper individualism and materialism and a lot of things that I think aren't productive in the long run for a healthy society. For a healthy society to exist, there has to be sacrifices, and you can't get everything you want. But this current society says, especially in America, oh, hey, your happiness is paramount, and anything that gets in the way of your happiness should be like set aside, should be challenged. And I don't think that's true. I don't think the purpose of life is to be happy. You're going to struggle, and some of us, especially from the lower classes, are going to probably struggle for most of our lives. But that doesn't mean that we're living less than somebody that's rich, because honestly, suffering is all relative. I mean, you look at a lot of these celebrities and people with wealth, they suffer from a lot of the same things that we suffer from: mental anguish, anxiety, depression, feeling that they come short of what their expectations are supposed to be. And it's ironic, right? I mean, especially what really hit me hard was when Robin Williams died. I mean, this is a guy that had everything I think that I would want. He had a beautiful family, notoriety. He was very talented, made billions of people happy. Not just millions, but billions of people happy. Yeah, he still took it upon himself to kill, end his own life. And it's crazy. Like, there's people that have absolute nothing that somehow, I guess, they're going through the grind. And maybe if they're religious, that's like the biggest aspect of what keeps them through. And I think like across the board, I mean, most religions, if not all of them, frown upon suicide. And maybe if that's what keeps people alive and end this life, then so be it. I mean, when it comes to euthanasia, like if somebody's truly suffering and they want to end their life, like they have terminal illness or something like that, I could get that, you know what I'm saying? But to be honest, my faith and my fear of the consequences of ending my life honestly have kept me sometimes, still striving to, live another day, to be honest. And that may seem delusional or not enough for some people, but hey, man, I mean, I'm here. And honestly, I don't have the best life, but, I'm very, very grateful for the position I'm in right now. Alhamdulillah. But yeah, to be honest, this might be a quick video. I mean, that's the gist of it. Also, there was this movement. There was a documentary that came out about Taqwa Core, and what's pretty interesting. It was like, punk and hardcore bands that basically gave dawah and had taqwa and stuff like that from especially Muslim youth and stuff. A lot of it was Muslim youth that were raised in the West. What was funny about that is like I did play music. I met a lot of people that were involved in scenes that played in bands that were from Muslim families or Muslim backgrounds. And a lot of these people still had like a lot of respect for Islam, but they didn't practice in of themselves. Like they would have tattoos, drink, smoke, commit zina, all that stuff, right? But a lot of them still have respect for the deen. And music being considered haram, unfortunately, different schools vary on anything, but I would wonder, right, if Islam had a wave, kind of like how the Christians had, and it's, to a lower respect, the Jews also had this, Hindus as well. Like they had a wave, in the 90s, early 2000s of bands that were religiously influenced, right? And how much that would have an impact on the culture in general. I mean, I remember when the Christian hardcore, Christian metalcore, Christian pop punk thing was really popping. A lot of kids that otherwise had gone astray kind of gravitated back to, their identity. Same thing with like Jewish hardcore bands, and Hindu, Krishna style bands too. I think they did a lot of positive things. So, I mean, if Islam had that on a grand scale, I really wonder, how that would affect youth in Muslim-born families, as well as people that are maybe curious about Islam. Because to be honest, what's really interesting is like, bro, like for most of my life, I was never curious about Islam, and it's actually pretty interesting how it reverted. But I mean, if it came from a musical standpoint, I think it would have initially had accelerated that interest a lot sooner. So yeah, that's just, I mean, especially like, I think people even being abstinent, right? People being abstinent, just saying, "Oh, I want to be chaste until I get married." I mean, that's super rebellious compared to what's the standard now, saying that you're not going to drink or do drugs is even being freaking straight edge. Honestly, that's pretty freaking rebellious when you see at the cultural norms of the society that we have. And it's ironic that, for the first time, I think in history, being a square is looked upon as being, authentic or genuine. Because if it's not for you, if partying and doing all that kinds of stuff and fornicating a lot, being promiscuous is not for you, you should have the right, just as much as the person that's being engaging in those activities. You should have a right to do what you do and not be shamed for it. Like they have slut shaming, but they shame people that don't engage in those lifestyles all the time. It's pretty ironic. I remember there was like a story where like freaking even like Ted Nugent back in the day, he met Jimi Hendrix, and Ted Nugent's notorious for his views. He's very controversial. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but he talked about being anti-drug and not doing drugs pretty much his entire life. And he met his idol Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix offered him a joint, and Ted Nugent was like very adamant, being like, "No, I don't smoke weed. I don't do drugs." And Jimi Hendrix kind of like, was like, "Hey, you're being lame," and all this kind of stuff. And, and that kind of hurts because, I'm a huge Jimi Hendrix fan, and, it was the 60s, this, that, and the third, and maybe it was like a different cultural thing back then. And now it's just doing that is pretty much the norm, especially if you live on the West Coast, like smoking weed and all that stuff is not even a big deal. It's no different than drinking a beer. But, to get scrutinized because you don't want to engage in those activities is something really perplexing. It's kind of weird, that in this day and age, saying no is frowned upon, unfortunately. So yeah. Then again, I just mentioned that it's a little late or whatever like that. I was kind of waiting for people to trickle in or whatnot. I don't like doing really long streams just to blabber my mouth and and kind of just go off the hinges and just beat a dead horse with the same talking point. So yeah, tell me what you think in the comment section. And I would love to hear from you guys. After Tuesday, when I do my surgery, maybe I'll be good enough to be conscious enough and coherent enough to do streams. So during that time period, I mean, I'll have nothing to do basically, but stream and maybe work out. So look out for more streams to come on a regular basis. And thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it. To the people that I emailed, especially, I mean, most of them replied back, and I'm very, very happy that it happened, especially at such a quick time. I really hope to collab with as many people as possible. If you're new to this channel, just know your voices will be heard here. I'm open to all opinions. Anytime that I have a panel or I drop the link, don't feel hesitant to come up and introduce yourself and spit your talk. You know what I'm saying? And even if it runs contrary to things that I believe, it doesn't matter what belief system you have or what ethnic group you come from or what political ideology you have. As long as you're respectful, I will give you a chance to have your say and to interject. Hey, how's it going? This is, I see Asia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I don't know if you're a brother and sister, by the way. So, hey, I'll drop the link to you if you want to jump up real quick, by all means, and kind of introduce yourself. I was just about to end the stream, but, I'll stay on for a little bit longer. I really hope you had a good day, by the way, inshallah. But yeah, this stream was basically about, I don't know if you've seen anything else, but like how being a practicing Muslim or being practicing a religious person in the West is ironically rebellious compared to what rebellion is stigmatized as, because like the rebellious culture is now the norm. You know what I mean? Especially post sexual revolution, post drug war is now the standard. You know what I mean? No? Are you referring to not jumping on or my talking points? I mean, either or. I mean, hey, feel free to go in the comment section and say some more. You know what I mean? Because your first comment was Jay. I'm not sure what you were trying to say with that. By all means, but I'm about to jump off. I mean, is there anything you want to say? I mean, I don't know if you're just trolling or whatnot. You know what I mean? If you're trolling, I mean, I could care less, to be honest. I mean, shoot. I mean, I'm just on here. I got bigger fish to fry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could say anything you want to, and it's not really gonna make me feel any type of way. I'll just worst comes to worst, I'll just block you. I mean, to be honest, I'm a grown man, so I could care less. I'll give you about a couple more minutes. After that, I'm gonna jump off. Okay. Well, I see you jumped off. I don't know what that was about. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful night. Take care. I hope your work week is fruitful and as stress-free as possible, inshallah. Hope to hear from you guys soon. Look for more streams. Take care. And always keep in mind to have gratitude for the little things that you have, because people are outside homeless, exposed to the elements, unemployed, going through all kinds of mental illnesses, physical ailments, and things like that. So don't ever take what you have for granted, because at any moment you could lose it all. I've learned that the hard way. So take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'll see you on the next one.